Hi and welcome back. I was recently in Vilnius, Lithuania, and I did a couple of day tours on my own that I really enjoyed, and I wanted to talk a little bit about them, what they are, how to get there, and things you can do if you do go and visit these places. If you're new here, my name's Kyria, and I'm an avid traveler, and last year I retired early to travel the world full time. As a person who was trying to retire early, of course, I was always about trying to save a little bit of money where I could. And in this case, if you're willing to do a little bit of work, it's not a lot of work, you can save a lot of money as well. I looked into what a day trip from Vilnius to these places on Viator would be, and it could be anywhere around $200 or $250, depending on which tour you're doing. And to me, that's just a little bit crazy when you can easily do it on your own. So I'm gonna walk you through how I did it, and so that you can do it too. Let's get started. The first one is the town of Trakai, and it is about a 30-minute train ride away from Vilnius. So to get there, you can take the train. The trains run every maybe about an hour and a half or 2 hours, depending on the time of day, and the ticket costs approximately €3. So that's roughly a little more than $3 each way. And depending on when you buy the ticket, sometimes the tickets are more like €2. So you can get a little bit of a cheaper deal if you're looking for that. You can buy the tickets online in advance if you want to, but it's very easy also just to buy the tickets on the platform. So the company for the trains is called LTG, and they have a very good website. They have an English version. It's very easy to buy the tickets on the website. And when you buy the tickets, they'll just send you a PDF ticket, and all you need to do is pull that up on your phone. So you don't even need to download an app or anything if you want to buy tickets on the website. However, I just bought my tickets on the platform. I looked up the times ahead of time, and then I bought the tickets on the platform with no issues. The train itself is a nice train. It's a little bit more of a local type train, but it does have bathrooms and free Wi-Fi. You don't have to choose your seat in advance. You can sit wherever you want. And like I said, the train takes about half an hour from point to point. And so before you know it, you'll be in Trakai. Once you get to Trakai, it's very easy to walk into town and then to the main attraction, which is the castle. It's about a little under 3 kilometers, so that's just around 2 miles to walk there, and you can do it in a couple of different ways. You can either walk directly through town, or you can walk along the lake, which is a nice little walking path. The walking path is a tiny bit longer, but it is a very nice path, and I highly recommend going one way on one direction and another way on the other direction, which is what I did. I walked through town on the way there, and then I walked along the lake on the way back. So you get a little bit of exercise, and you get to see a couple different things. If you walk through town, you get to see the cool old wooden architecture. The little houses are built, very cute, very fishing style village houses. And also there is a church that's worth taking a peek at, and it's called the Church of the Visitation of the Blessed Virgin Mary. It was founded in 1409 and is kind of in the Gothic style, and apparently it's the oldest in Lithuania built out of brick, and it still serves the local Catholic community. When I was there, they were actually having a service, so I didn't go all the way into the church, but I stood in the door and got to listen to them singing, which was really nice. So then you'll get to the castle, which, like I said, is the main attraction. And to get to it, you can walk over a little footpath that goes over onto the island that the castle sits on. You can go into the castle. There's a museum there, and it costs approximately €12. However, you can also just walk all the way around the outside of the castle if you don't want to go inside, and it's a nice view. You can also walk into the initial inner courtyard and kind of look at that area without going fully into the museum. After you're done with that, you can go and have lunch. And there's a place near the castle whose name I'm going to butcher, so I'm just going to put it up on the screen. But they have a lot of local Lithuanian dishes. So things like the pink soup that they make, also the ones I talked about in my Vilnius video, which are the cepelines, which look like a zeppelin, which is basically a potato dumpling with some sort of filling inside. And they also have kind of what looks similar to an empanada, which is called a kibne. I'm probably mispronouncing that. And it comes with various different things on the inside, but one of the most popular ones is pork. Their menu is extensive, and they're not very expensive. I had a rhyme there. But I actually went there, and a tour group had just let off, and so it was very, very busy, and I actually didn't go, unfortunately, but I was really looking forward to it because it has a really good selection of Lithuanian dishes at not very high prices. So you can easily get out of there with paying less than 10 euros. So after you're all nice and full from your meal, you can walk back along the water. And this is a really cool area. There's some golf courses, there's some nice views of the castle along the shore. And if you have extra time, you can also go to the Jewish cemetery. And then you'll be back at the train station, and just like on the way there, the trains leave roughly every hour or hour and a half, depending on the time of day. And again, to get back is another 3 euros roughly. So all in all, even with the museum entry, lunch, and the train ride, you are only going to probably spend $30 or even $40 depending on what you buy, which is a lot less than the $250 for the tour. I also had a great time just wandering around town. It was kind of raining a little bit when I was there, so I didn't go too far out, but you can also stay there. And I think accommodations, if you do want to stay, are around $50 to $90 for a mid-range place, so that is an option as well. So a couple things before I wrap up Trakai. You can also get there by bike. It's about 28 kilometers, which is approximately 17 miles, and it is on a flat path, which is a good bike path. So I considered doing that, but the bike rentals in Lithuania were a little bit more expensive than some other places that I'd been, and the bike that I rented for the one day that I did rent was about $35. So it would have cost me $35 to rent the bike and ride there instead. However, it would be really nice to have a bike there because then you wouldn't have to do the walk all the way to the castle. So you could bike around, and you could also get a little bit further out and see some things around the area. So that would be a good option as well. Additionally, you can take a bus, and it drops you off a little bit at a different spot, a little bit closer to town. So that could be good if you have any mobility issues or anything like that. You might want to be a little bit closer to the castle. However, it's still not right next to the castle, so you still are going to have a little bit of a walk or whatever to get to the castle. If you do take the bus, there is a city bus that you can take from the bus station to the castle area, and that's about 2 euros. So that's another option as well. Okay, so now let's talk about the next one, which is Kaunas. This one's a little bit further out. It's an hour and 10 minutes by train, but I forgot to mention this, but the train station in Vilnius is very easy to get to. It's close to the old town, and it's right next to the bus station as well. So whether you decide to take the train or the bus, it's very easy to get to in Vilnius itself. So to get to Kaunas, same thing. This time I actually bought my tickets online because when I went to look at the times online, it turns out they actually were having a promo, so it was 40% off. So I ended up buying the tickets right then and there because it was quite a lot cheaper. And the normal price for the ticket was about 8 euros, and I ended up getting it for just over 4 euros. And so all in all, my entire round trip ticket was about 10 euros. This train was a little bit more robust than the one to Trakai, but also it has bathrooms, Wi-Fi on board, and places to put your luggage. You also don't get to pick your seat in advance, it's first come, first serve for that. Once you're there, the train station in Kaunas is a little bit further away from the main attractions. So in this case, it's about 4 kilometers to 4.5 kilometers. So that's basically about 2.5 to almost 3 miles, depending on where it is. And so you can walk, but you can also take the public bus. And in this case, you can just tap to pay for the bus. So assuming you do walk, I'll kind of go through the things you'll see in the order that you would see them. So the first thing you would get to, which is worth checking out, is the Museum for the Blind. This is housed inside the Church of St. Michael the Archangel, and it's a really, really beautiful building. And you can go inside and look at it. It is still a church, so you can go and take pictures and stuff inside as well. But you can't miss it. It's a beautiful building. It sits right at the end of the walking street. So once you've checked that out, you can start walking along the walking street, whose name I can't pronounce, so I'm going to put that on the screen. But it's a really nice, long, wide promenade. And apparently it's one of Europe's longest pedestrian boulevards. And it has plenty of restaurants, bars, shops, and anything you can imagine. Lots of ice cream as well. And if you keep going along this walking street, you'll get to the Old Town. And you'll still be able to be on a walking street. The new walking street in the Old Town has a different name. But once you cross over into the Old Town, you'll see the difference in the architecture. It's a little bit more Gothic and Renaissance. And again, lots of ice cream. So It's kind of just fun to poke around in the old town and stop for a drink or get something to eat or have an ice cream. As you continue walking, your destination will be the castle, but you'll also walk past the Cathedral Basilica of St. Peter and St. Paul, which is a pretty impressive building. And then if you keep walking, you'll finally get to the castle. The castle is fun. You can walk around the grounds for free, or if you want to go in, I think it's about €4 to get into the museum. And I didn't do that. I just wandered around the outside, so I can't speak to the museum at all. But the castle itself was built in the 14th century as a defense mechanism, and apparently it's one of the oldest stone castles in Lithuania. After you see the castle, you can keep going, and you'll know when you get to the place you're looking for because you won't be able to go anymore because that will be the confluence of the two rivers, which are the Neris and the Nemunas. And so, of course, anytime there's rivers, this was a key part of trade back in the day. And so it's kind of interesting to go there and see what was or is a symbolic landmark of the city. So after that, if you've walked the whole way, you would have gone 4.4 kilometers, which is not quite 3 miles, and you'll probably be hungry. So there are definitely plenty of local Lithuanian restaurants that you can try. But for me, I was looking for a cold beer and I didn't want a Pilsner. I wanted something different. And so I went to a place that I really liked that I forgot the name of. Let me see. So I went to a place that I really liked, which was called Hogas Pub, Hogas. And it has a really cute little backyard area where you can sit on the back patio in the shade. It was kind of a warm day that day. And so that was really nice. And you can have a cold beer. And they had a lot of different beers on tap. And they have hamburgers and French fries. And you'd have to try the fried anchovies. So the beer was about $6. The anchovies and fries was about $9. So it's not super inexpensive, but it was delicious and the atmosphere was great. So even with all that, getting into the Museum of the Blind, getting into the castle, eating and taking the train, you're still gonna only be around $40. And if you want to stay the night, same thing, it's about $50 to $90 for kind of a mid-range hotel, maybe not right in the smack dab in the middle of Old Town. But again, still a lot cheaper than doing an organized tour. So hopefully this is helpful if you decide to visit Lithuania. And hopefully it's also helpful to show you that it's not that hard sometimes, especially if there's a good train service, to do a lot of these things on your own. Now I realize that I do like walking a lot, but there are also options to not have to walk as much. And so if walking isn't your thing, or if you have any issues with that, then there are still alternatives. And it's a lot nicer to be in a place without 40 other people of your closest tour friends sometimes. So, and just kind of explore at your own leisure. So let me know if you have any questions, or I'd love to hear, do you prefer to do organized tours? Or are you more of kind of a DIY kind of person? And what tips and tricks do you have for other travelers? If you like this video, please consider subscribing and giving it a like. And as always, thank you for watching and happy travels.